Everybody, welcome to another episode of Talk OverTime. I'm your host, Bobby Melendez, joined by Bret. This is on the Talk Network, and we got two very special guests. If you're on Dolphins Twitter, you know them well. You got Mr. Jeremy Klump. Klump, what's up, man?
How are you? Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this. We're having a little fun backstage, so I think we'll keep it going here.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
My cheeks hurt already.
And we got Phinstant, Reax. How you doing, brother? Thank you for coming on.
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We got the witness protection unit on, so he doesn't hit the camera.
No, that's what he actually looks like. That's his actual.
Yeah. Wait, I wanted to say this. I asked him if I could say this. All the Phinstant haters, just so you all know, I got the face reveal tonight, and this guy is strikingly handsome. So you are hating on the wrong guy. Just throwing it out there. This Miami Dolphin avatar, handsome dude. So don't call him ugly and hiding behind an avatar anymore, because he'd make you feel upset.
I'm telling you, he might steal some of these 2-year women.
I'm a business owner, guys. Gotta protect the biz.
Got you, brother. Got you.
Totally get it, man.
And everyone tuning in California, Hank, Steve, thank you all for joining us, guys. We get this ball rolling. Of course, what we're going to talk about. We're talking about the Miami Dolphins. We're not too far off. We're about 20 few odd days away from preseason, guys. So we're all hyped up. You know, Dolphins defense, new coach, Tyreek Hill, and development of Tua. How's that going to turn out? I know everybody has an opinion. Already biting your lip. All right, but we're going to start off. With Phinstant. And I just want to, before we get into all the details of the current Dolphins, I want to know how your fandom started with Miami and what's some of your favorite memories.
Yeah, man. Well, back when I was born, my dad was a Dolphins fan, so I was immediately thrown into it. But really, what I think got me hooked on the Dolphins was I started to get into football, and my grandmother got me a Zach Thomas jersey when I was probably 8 or 9. I must have been 9, and it was 2 days before Christmas. And if you remember the timing back then. It was like I think it was the day before Christmas. The Dolphins played the New England Patriots, and they end up just coming back in the fourth quarter. Zach Thomas, who I had my brand new jersey from, gets a pick to set the Dolphins up for a game-winning field goal, and it's like 3 seconds left in the game. They kick a field goal. Olindo Mare sends them to the playoffs. I'm like, man, this is awesome. My dad's like hugging me. Everybody's going crazy. And then the next week they beat the Colts. They win in the playoffs. I'm like, being a Dolphins fan is awesome, man. And haven't felt that feeling since. But
that was so tragic to hear. I'm not gonna lie.
I know,
my heart hurts so bad.
Oh, because we know where it's going.
Yeah, no doubt. And if you guys haven't checked it out, it's been 7,869 days since then. So,
hey, Bobby, remember I referenced that number that he just did multiple times on the show.
That's pretty crazy. It's crazy.
But anyway, that for real, that was the first time that I really focused on the Dolphins, and it was just awesome. Like I said, brand new Zach Thomas jersey. He got a pick to win the game, and I think Jason Taylor, actually, the Patriots got the ball back. Jason Taylor got a sack to win the game, actually. So it was like just your 2000s Dolphins memories all like into one, just
the clutch players stepping up, making a play when they need them most, like Xavier Howard week 1 last year.
Yeah, exactly. Like that similar to that, man.
Love
and then, I've been a Dolphins fan ever since. I think probably the best game I've ever been to. We lost, but it was a Sunday night game versus the Jets in like 2010. You guys might remember it was orange jerseys. Like I think the Kardashians and people were there, and it was a Sunday night. We were both 2-0. It was after they went to like the AFC Championship the year before, and that place was rocking. Too many drunk New Yorkers down in Miami too. There was like a fight every 5 seconds in the stands. It was great.
It's a perfect game.
That was the Chad Henne had a chance to come back and blew it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the walk home, the walk to the parking lot wasn't fun, but the game itself was awesome. It was a great atmosphere. But yeah, man, that's how I got into it. Been stuck with them ever since.
Oh man, your dad apologized to you, or?
And he like hardly even watches anymore. He was alive for the 72 years and Marino and all that stuff.
Man.
And he's like, let me know when they're good again.
Nothing will ever compare.
No doubt.
I won't even make a comment on why he shouldn't watch. I'm not gonna.
Come on now. Oh man. So go ahead, Bret.
No. I got nothing.
No, I see Evan has joined us. He's down in Florida actually, and I know he said he was going to some of the training camp there, but he did say that Bret, he missed you so much last week with the whole TD and Miss Fins and all the Tua talk. I know he's like, man, this is how bad it is. He said he misses Bret over this. So he said he won't be here for long, so he won't see the end of this because he probably won't be happy at the end.
Well, he can always go back and watch.
But I think Evan, our good friend to the show, is going to be familiar with our buddy here, Klump, who's joined us. And I'm going to move on to you, man. I mean, you shared something before the show about your favorite moment, and it goes with mine because I remember that moment. I remember watching it on TV. I don't want to go spoil it for you, but I remember just saying my part is I was on the couch with my brother Harrison, and when that play happened in overtime, I was jumping up. I had like tears in my eyes, which is pretty damn depressing for that moment. But go ahead. What started your fandom, man, and what's your favorite memory? Some of your favorite memories as a Miami Dolphins fan.
Yeah, so a nice little Dolphins Twitter fallacy that is not true here is that I've never been a Dolphins fan and just became a Dolphins fan, which is incorrect. I started out, my uncle was a big Dolphins fan. We used to go to their house, my aunt and my uncle's house on Sundays, and my parents weren't really into football when I was younger. And he was a Dolphins fan, big Marino guy, Dolphins everything, like the man. That was like the first man cave I saw, Dolphins everything. And then we'd go out back and throw football a little. And then I told my parents, we were a big racing family, which was like, it's bizarre to even think about because I like hate racing. But both my brothers were big into racing. My dad is big into racing. And I was like, hey, I think I want to try football. And I just kind of got hooked into football. And it was just that the Dolphins with my uncle. And then just kind of attached there. Like Ricky Williams was my big time favorite player when I was growing up. I had like this awesome Ricky Williams visor poster behind my bed where it was like the Coliseum in the visor. I mean, it was so sick. That was one of my most heartbreaking memories when Ricky got suspended for smoking weed and I was a kid and I'm like, he's doing drugs. I can't believe it. Like, not suspended. When you stop playing and stuff. But my favorite memory is so depressing because, like you said, I've only lost my voice watching football twice. It was when Tim Tebow beat the Steelers in the playoffs because I'm the #1 Tim Tebow fan in the entire world. Yes, I know he sucks, but I love Tim Tebow, and that was like the best day of my life watching football just because everyone was like, no way he's winning the playoffs. He hasn't played a good team, #1 defense, then he throws a touchdown. But Dolphins memory, that Ravens overtime game when Cleo Lemon, shout out to Cleo Lemon. Man. I don't care what anyone says. I loved Cleo Lemon. That guy, played his heart out. He hits the deep ball, the bomb. I remember my parents had this awesome living room with 2 French doors on each side. I remember just running full speed back and forth like, they did it. Like they won their first game of the season, their only game of the season. So that's one of my all-time favorite memories. I loved the Wildcat games. Obviously, those were great. Yeah. I will always say this, like where the whole, Klump's not a Dolphins fan, he's an Eagles fan, where that really like became a thing was diehard Pennsylvania guy. A lot of you know that. Like I love Pennsylvania football. Matt Ryan sitting there at #1. All I'm calling for, please draft Matt Ryan. Like that was my hero. I mean, Matt Ryan was my hero. They don't take Matt Ryan. They take Long. And I was like, I hate this team. Like I just started getting, it was like that started my hatred, not even the losing. Like I was so through the 1-win seasons, who cares? It was so fun that I was like, I hate this team. How dare they not take my favorite player? So that kind of started it. And then like I went to the Eagles for a little because my parents had season tickets. I live in Pennsylvania, but I just like hated Philly fans. And to be honest, I didn't mind the losing. It was fun. Like the losing was fun. I just hated all the decision making and stuff that always happened. But I am a Bills, Chargers, and Bengals. I mean, I am a Dolphins fan. So yeah, no, I always love that. Like all the people that are like, oh, he's a fake fan. I've 100,000,000% been a Dolphins fan longer than any time I liked the Eagles and stuff. And it's not like I didn't like the Dolphins still. Yes, I'm not a diehard fan, as some people will say, and that's fine. You can tell people how they want to fan all they want. I really don't care. I think the fact that I came back to this bullshit, it means even more to me that I'm a diehard fan, because let's be real, who would voluntarily come back to this? So
how dare you call out a team that hasn't won a playoff game since I was in elementary school getting my first ever Zach Thomas jersey.
I will always remember someone messaged me. They were like, oh, he used to be an Eagles fan. He's jumping on the Dolphins bandwagon. I'm like, what are you talking about? What bandwagon?
What bandwagon?
I swear to you. Someone was like, he's jumping on the bandwagon. And
Dude,
I was
the
like,
audacity to even think we have a bandwagon. Like, we haven't even earned that shit or anything
and
yet.
what's even crazier is, like, dude, I covered the Eagles the year they won the Super Bowl. Like, I literally got to witness all of that. Do you know what I'm saying? And bandwagon? What are you talking about? This
Which is
one of the
crazy
worst
for
teams.
Philadelphia to win a Super Bowl. That was just nuts. Living in Delaware, like, I know, like, this whole area went nuts when the Eagles won.
You know what I hope too? Like, I think that's what really made me like miss being the diehard Dolphins fan, is that feeling of like seeing everyone. I want Dolphins fans to experience that so much. I mean, it was it was the most incredible thing in the world. I can't explain it. And it's just like, you didn't believe at first because Wentz went down and then it's Foles. And then they started winning, and it's like, oh shit, they could win it all. And you just keep going and you keep going, and it was so incredible. So yeah, that's kind of my Dolphins story. I love Ronnie Brown. I was a big Ronnie Brown fan. I know a lot of people were a little iffy about him, but I love Ronnie Brown. The Ricky Williams Ronnie Brown tandem, I love that. I loved it.
I like Ronnie Brown. I hate who we missed for him.
Oh god, yeah.
Cadillac Williams.
No, Cedric Benson, clearly.
Hey, I gotta ask you, Klump, because you say you're a diehard Tebow fan, and Bret probably knows where I'm gonna go with this. Who's the better pro quarterback, Tebow or Tua?
Well, as of right now, you know, Tua is still in his
enough
career,
beer for this.
and I do believe and hope that somehow, some way, Tua is better than Tim Tebow. But right now, I'm taking Tebow as a better career. I mean, he won a playoff game. At the end of the day, I did that poll. Would you take the quarterback who won the Super Bowl, Joe Flacco or Dan Marino, without putting their names? And everyone voted Joe Flacco, because we know that Tebow won the playoff game. So without knowing if Tua is going to win a playoff game, I'm going Tebow. I do think Tua is going to be better, though. Like, Tim Tebow could not throw the football. It was it actually hurt me to watch him throw it.
The reason why I say that
bad,
is
man.
when the tank for Tua thing was going on, like Bret, I was for, and I always say this for full disclosure, you support Tua as a starting quarterback because he's a starting quarterback. But when he was coming out, I wasn't on the tank for Tua. I was for Justin Herbert coming out. Obviously, Joe Burrow wasn't going to be attainable. We weren't getting him, but we could get Justin Herbert. And I remember writing for another site, and they told me I was going to get crucified for talking about what I was saying. I said, well, I'll say what I say. And the equivalent I gave him was a better version of Tim Tebow. I didn't think he was going to translate well from college to the pros as a pro quarterback. So far, I don't know if you could call me wrong or not, but
I would say you're wrong, because he's not even as good as Tebow yet. Honestly,
Well, I mean, the idea of this prolific college quarterback comes into the NFL and falls on his face. We've seen that so many different times.
It's crazy.
Like Joey Harrington. It's funny they kept comparing Justin Herbert to like Joey Harrington because of Oregon, but I mean,
that's just lazy.
Yeah, it's just lazy.
Well, Herbert will regress this year. He'll probably throw for 4,830 touchdowns
and win 2 playoff games.
It's so funny too when you talk about Joe Harrington and stuff like. I've got a friend who's a big time Detroit Lions fan, and that's actually who I was watching the draft, the 2020 draft. I went to his place, and they had the 3rd pick, and he was just praying that somebody traded up to him because he knew everybody was supposed to be going after these quarterbacks. And he was like, man, I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it into he's like, you just got to take the big guy. He's like, that's all I've learned. He's like, you just got to take the big guy and hope it works. Like, it worked with Stafford. It's like, you go after the Joey Harringtons, you're screwed. But it just brought me back to that because Joey Harrington came up multiple times that night.
You know, it's funny. And Herbert was nothing like Joey Harrington.
No.
At all.
Justin Herbert might not be like anyone. He might be just like Justin Herbert, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
him and Josh Allen are their own quarterbacks.
Herbert is nasty.
Yeah, it's God.
Sickening. Brett knows how I felt during that entire process.
Yeah, you and I had plenty of talks back and forth about that. Like, oh my god!
I think that's what's funny is a lot of people do know this. I was a Tua fan and a Herbert hater, by the way. That's what everyone's like. You Tua hater.
What?
Yeah, I like thought Justin Herbert was so overrated until last year. Obviously, I always thought I was like, this guy isn't that good. He has to be getting lucky to be this good. Like, there's no way Justin Herbert is this good. I used to say like he only hit big deep bombs on broken coverages. But no, he's just that good, and like Tua's just unhealthy. I think if Tua would be healthy more times than not, it would probably be a little closer. But
the thing is, Tua has to be perfect because his arm isn't strong enough to be late. Justin Herbert can be late and can be maneuvered in the pocket, getting rushed, and then he can be late and have that cannon make up for that lateness and fire it in there.
I don't know what you're talking about. Tua's throwing an extra 20 yards on his deep ball.
Well, I mean, sorry, pass wise, not talking this year.
I heard he's throwing it a quarter mile, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Oh, did he throw it over the mountains?
I think honestly, it's going to be pretty crazy. I heard what's that podcast? It Needed to Be Said. I heard that the wide receiver Tyreek Hill said that he's breaking fingers. He's throwing so hard.
Oh
so
my God.
I'm worried. He might want to go back to Kansas City because Tua's throwing so hard.
Big
off season arm training. I mean, this guy's got a cannon now. I heard so, and he's 6'6" now too. He did grow. So
yeah.
Oh man,
dude, the Twitter app is the funniest thing in the world.
How is it free anymore with this?
So
how is football Twitter free at this
I'm making dinner for the family, bro. I go on Twitter and I just see screenshots and messages from people like, look at everyone saying Tua's taller than 6'2", 6'3". I'm like, what is Tua 6'4" now? No way. Crazy. So crazy. And they're like, what is it officially? What is he officially? And it's like, yo, he officially measured in at the combine. Like, we got official numbers on Tua.
Now he had a hurt hip, so he was leaning, so it doesn't really count. He's 2 inches taller.
It gave him 4 extra inches now.
I mean, it's just so funny that, I posted like the offseason timeline of Dolphins fans the other day. And I don't know if anybody saw that, but
I did.
It's so true that, like right after the season, everybody was like, we can't do this. This is the worst thing ever. We sign a free agent, and signing a free agent, or trading in this case, trading for somebody dynamic automatically makes him better in terms of what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, it does it make the team better? Yeah, but does it make him better?
They did get rid of Flores, though, and he did hire Hank Lockwood from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs to make it rain for the Tennessee game. So he has a better chance, honestly. I just think, Vincent, I think you're a little too hard on him, honestly. I really do.
Yeah, that's true. He did go to the cold this offseason and work in the tundra of Maryland.
Dude, I'm trying to figure out.
Maryland's
right next to where he went. It's not far from me. I'm trying to figure out where that tundra was because I didn't see the tundra this year.
Listen to you guys. Just hating. You guys are haters.
Haters. This is haters.
It's all that hating, man.
All right, Klump, let's see here, man. Let's talk about last season and the Dolphins and all of the above. And I know you've talked about it a little bit, so you can talk some more. But the Dolphins finished 9-8, man. So you've had an off season to digest. Not just what everybody's saying on Twitter, but just looking at what the Dolphins have done. They made splashes here and there. It's not the first time. They got Tyreek, Taron Armstead, all of the above. So now that you had a offseason to digest what the Dolphins have done, what went wrong last season? Well, now that you had a chance to kind of look back at the last season, they went on that losing streak, then they went on the winning streak, and Coach Flores got fired. What went wrong last year?
The quarterback. Honestly, that's what it comes down to for me. I 100% do not agree with the Brian Flores scapegoat decision. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and cry over Brian Flores getting fired. Whatever. I really don't care.
Fair enough.
But what I will say is, if you think Brian Flores had more to do with the Dolphins losing than Tua Tagovailoa did, I do think you're crazy. Brian Flores didn't make Tua. Well, again, we talked about this backstage. Tua did take the hardest hit in NFL history. So I do have to water down what I'm saying here because I've never seen a quarterback get hit so hard from his blind side in an NFL game. And he did take that hit. So, but his injury just completely transformed the season. I remember in the offseason, they signed Jacoby Brissett. And I get hated a lot on Twitter, but I got crushed on Twitter for saying Jacoby Brissett stinks. I was like, he's not even a good backup. He's not good. And people were like, I went back through the replies and tagged some people when they were like, Jacoby sucks. I'm like, oh yeah, look here. You're telling me I'm an idiot because he's good. I always thought he sucked. And when Tua went down, I literally, that's the season, in my opinion. You're counting on your starting quarterback. You can say what you want about the coaching staff, the offensive line, all that. If he would have got back up that day and they would have fought and played the game, I think the whole season goes differently. I truly do. I think that injury just started a spiral effect. Jacoby comes in, he's absolute trash. I mean, like, it was so bad to watch. It really was. I think
game, man. It was just awful.
It was.
There were receivers up and downfield. The thing I'll give Brissett is he did a good job of calling out the protections and actually setting us up for success a little bit there. You notice he actually had a little bit more time. He just holds on to the ball for 6 seconds every play.
He did. He did also have a higher Pro Football Focus rating than Tua as the Miami Dolphins starting quarterback. So
we all know that is gold.
But I mean, he was breaking Will Fuller's finger to the point where he's like never playing
that happened that
again.
game.
Yeah.
Like and that's another thing is like it. You know, we did it again too. That's the crazy thing here is we just signed a backup quarterback to guaranteed money, and then drafted a quarterback in the 7th round. So now we're going to have a guy on practice squad who, if we bring him up, you know, if somebody gets hurt and he goes back down, we're probably going to lose him. It's
true.
Decisions made in our front office just never make sense to me. And it's like you can say, oh, well, Teddy's good, and you got to have a good backup quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is the 29th highest paid quarterback in the league. There's 32 teams. So don't tell me that all these good teams are paying backup quarterbacks as an insurance policy. They're not. And yeah, we've got the money to do it this year, but it just sets a stupid precedent in my opinion that, oh, if you go to Miami, you're going to get paid, you're going to get guaranteed money, you're not going to get cut. And I don't know what the plan is there. Like, are you all in on Tua or not? And if he's too injured to do that, why are we even worried about keeping him? Like, he's somebody who you cannot trust. So going into Brissett last year, like I said, you could tell he was a more veteran quarterback, but Klump's right. I mean, he's just, some guys have it, some guys don't after the snap. And I mean, he was like a kid playing Madden, you know, that's like gone from pro to all Madden, you know, he's like sitting back there, can't find anybody open. And why is this game so hard? I mean, that was exactly what Brissett looked like. He just holds onto the ball. And
what a comparison.
Marcel called it out. He said, you know, Brissett's been like I think he held the ball more since 2016 or held it the longest per snap than any other quarterback in the league. Yeah. And we're complaining about this offensive line. I mean,
they're not supposed to hold for 7 to 8 seconds.
I mean, what was the thought process there? The guy did it. Did you scout him before you brought him in? I mean, this is where Chris Greer just on a whole. My Twitter name right now, I know everybody's seen it, is Chris Greer hater, because it's not just Tua. He makes dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision after dumb decision, and then falls up.
Like Reed Sinnett.
Now Reed is a whole nother situation to me that just blows me away. I'm not saying that guy's great, but good God, just see what you got. I mean,
shit. It couldn't have been worse than Brissett, man.
There's no way.
You can't tell me that Reed Sinnett was worse than Brissett. And you and I got killed for saying might as well just kept him because at least he was somewhat mobile and was a gunslinger. He'd like at least throw it downfield.
I killed you guys like the first week when you said that, and then the next week I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah, this is bad.
Said it can't get much worse, and people were like arguing me that it could. I was like, have you watched these games? Defense spotted us 14 points against the Raiders, and we lost because that guy couldn't. Walk the ball down the field. I mean, it's embarrassing. But what that does bring up to me, and I want to take a look at it. I just want to see. I want to see the stats here. So, Klump, you can kind of jump on that.
I'll go back. I liked what you said about not being able to trust him, and I think that's one thing that I've always said is you can be a Tua fan, a Tua stan, a Tua hater, whatever you want to call people, but like you can't tell me with a straight face, even if you're the most diehard Tua fan, that you right now 100% trust Tua this season. Like I can't agree with that. I think you're lying to yourself. If you say that you're lying to yourself, you're lying to everyone. One, dude, the guy can't stay healthy, and it's not his fault. Like injury-prone players, obviously he doesn't go out there like, oh, hopefully I get hurt today. Like, no, he has just collected injury after injury after injury. And my favorite thing Tua stands say when you say he's injury-prone, well, he didn't miss a lot of games. Like, the definition of injury prone isn't how many games you miss. It's just being prone to injury. And he is getting injured. In the NFL, the injuries are a little heavier, a little harder. And when you're nicked up like that as a quarterback, which everyone's playing nicked up, but when your throwing hand has a finger that you can't even move, even though you can golf with it. But you never know. Like I hate that whole like, oh, you're such a hater for worrying about him being injured. Like, no way. That is my biggest concern. If he goes down early this season, everything that happened, all this hype, all this fun we had, it could literally all be thrown away in a second. Like, I think I've said this before on other podcasts. I think Mike McDaniel could be fired after this year, 100%.
Yeah.
If the Dolphins,
if Bridgewater fails,
not even Bridgewater. I'm saying in general. Even if Tua fails too, like I think that.
No, I mean like if Tua gets hurt and Bridgewater comes in and he struggles and they lose, like if it's similar to last year, yeah, he could definitely.
I think he'll be canned. I do.
Yeah, you just said that, and the reason why I threw my hand because Ralph's on here. And he's watching. My stepfather. I just had that conversation with him, and I was telling him straight up. I said, "Don't be shocked." Ross put a lot of hype behind this thing. You hear these reports, his complaint was about Sean Payton. And I said, that's something that the Dolphins, that was the first plan. They wanted to get Payton and then try to bring in Tom Brady, but that didn't go through. So what did they do? Well, we'll stick with Tua and we'll get McDaniel. No one else interviewed McDaniel. Dolphins were the only team that interviewed McDaniel. And look, he's come on and he's won over the fans because of how he talks and whatnot. And, the players seem to like him. And, hey, I hope for the best because if he wins, we win, right?
Yep.
But I said, look, that's why I tell people now that I'm really looking at the roster, the offensive line was everybody's biggest complaint. My thing was it's not about investment. It was about development. The development of the offensive line, I think, lacked. Maybe McDaniel hires the right people, and that changes because not much has changed on the offensive line. There's no more excuses. If Tua takes another biggest hit of his life next year and is out for 5-6 games and the Dolphins are trash or lose those games out and they miss the playoffs like they did again, Ross knows all the hype that's going into this team with Tyreek Hill and everything. He's going to be, again, like embarrassed, and he's already embarrassed with the whole lawsuit shit. So he's going to go out and say, hey, look, Sean Payton, let me give you the Bill Parcells thing. You'll be the VP. Let's go with McDaniel. He doesn't have no loyalty to McDaniel. The only thing he needs to do, though, hire Sean Payton as VP of football operations and head coach, and then go get Tom Brady, whoever else you want to try to get at quarterback, because Tua's on a rental right now. And then the thing is, but the one thing he has to do, and it was for Phinstant, but that I disagreed with was when he fired Flores, he should have fired Greer.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I don't want to say I hate. I don't mean it like that, but what I say was before the season was over, midseason when we were in that losing streak, I was like, they need to let go of Flores. They need to fire Greer. They need a clean sweep of everybody, and they didn't do that because that's what
a lot
Ross
of us
does.
said that. Like us three, definitely they can attest to this. I was saying that too. Like, get rid of Greer, get rid of Flores. Let's move on. Yeah. And then I had people like blocking me from other sites. I won't even mention them. Like, because I went off the deep end. No, during the season, I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. I'd fire and clear house and start over.
That's what I said. I said the exact same thing.
Pitiful.
Yeah.
It's just a terribly run organization from the top that's hit on a couple of really solid middle of the road players and coaches. Like we can hate on Flores all we want, but dude knows ball. I mean,
he wasn't a dumb coach.
And I mean,
I love Brian Flores for what it's
like. Like I mean, you can hate on him all you want, but he is just an old school dude.
Old school.
I was calling for him to get fired last year. I think I was one of the first ones to do it because I said I hated the way he hired on offense.
Personnel decisions were
Joe
bad.
Brady was like the guy you like were.
I wanted him, and you can say whatever you want, but the Panthers are similarly run. But that guy's now the QB's coach in Buffalo, and we'll probably see him in a couple of years when Ken Dorsey becomes the head coach in Miami. But anyways. But yeah, that's another one. Like Chan Gailey hired a day after we fired
Chad O'Shea.
Yeah. Hired the day.
Chad O'Shea was our best offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but even if you didn't like him or it wasn't gelling or anything, he didn't even look. He just went out and hired an old dude who, I guess had beat him once. He'd never worked with him before. Man, it made no sense other than Fitzpatrick vouching for him.
Well, it fit perfect for Justin Herbert's style.
Well, there's a lot that does. But anyways, to Klump's point from earlier, talking about Jacoby Brissett, It's so funny when we talk about these offensive linemen and, the offensive line sucks. The offensive line sucks. The offensive line sucks. They aren't good. I agree. They're poorly rated on PFF, all that stuff. But what people don't understand and what I can't get across in 200 characters on Twitter is that the quarterback controls so much of that. Yeah. And what really, I think, sent the season off the rails last year was it was a young offensive line. So it's not a talent thing. It's a where the hell is everybody thing. I'm confused. I'm a second-year player, and I'm standing next to a rookie. And then our offensive line coach is a guy who is, let's be honest, he's just not good. I mean, maybe in a couple of years he will be, but it was his first time being an offensive line coach running the room, and he's trying to teach all these rookies and second-year guys with a quarterback who can barely spell his own name. And, I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. I mean, when you start thinking about having to identify pressures and, all the things that go into it between your tight end, your running back, your offensive line, everybody's got to be in sync. And you got an offensive line coach who, bless his heart, I don't know, but he probably didn't know what was going on, fully. He probably knew to an extent. I don't want to take too much away from him, but he was a guy who it was his first time.
He just wasn't ready for those young guys. I think if he had veterans who could help him learn the game better, like he needed to learn as well, but he didn't get a chance to learn because he had to try to teach these young guys. And that's why any team that ran a stunt, I mean, literally Bret and I could be on the D-line running a little stunt and we'd get the team, like honestly, he had no clue what was going on.
And the thing is, like, how many times did I say that, like, during the season? Like, we took all these guys, these young guys, and, like, Greer took a lot of risks and said, if it pays off, I look like a genius. If not, then I really failed. So, and it really failed. So it made it look bad. So, like, Greer likes to take way too many risks. Like, I'll take Austin Jackson. He's a high ceiling kind of guy. Yeah, but that ceiling, what's it going to take to get to that ceiling for him? Too much.
Mm-hmm. And, the thing about that is when you look at Austin Jackson, when you look at Noah, all these different guys that have been drafted over the years, even last year, everybody loves the 21 draft, but what I tell everybody is what receiver would we have drafted? And then our fan base said was a miss because we missed on some really, really good players, like Jamar Chase, or Kyle Pitts. And we took a guy like Waddle, who is very solid, and very solid doesn't win you Super Bowls. Great does. And, that's the thing with Greer. He always drafts for need. You look at it, we needed a quarterback. Safe. So he had to take the one that everybody wanted. He didn't even fly out to go watch Justin Herbert's pro day.
Yeah.
And then neither did Brian Flores. We sent a quarterback's coach. You think that guy has any pull in the room when he gets back?
Didn't they send George Godsey?
Yeah.
Who was a quarterback / tight end coach at the time.
Yeah. So. And he was like all smiles out there. But it
was his idea for him to throw the ball the 55 yards from the end zone on his knees. It was Godsey's idea. Whatever. But I think Godsey was trying to get Greer convinced by having him do that.
I think you might be right, but it didn't matter. That's the point. Otherwise, Greer would have been out there too.
Yeah.
And that was pre-COVID.
The decision was made though already, I think.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like I think the owner put his foot down on who they wanted. I've heard rumors from some pretty like high-ranking people in the NFL that said like he was out yacht parties telling everyone that they're drafting Tua no matter what, and like it was tank for Tua.
Yeah, but then you go to Jackson. We needed a right tackle, but was he the best player on the board?
Nope.
You just need to get a more talented team. You can always fill those holes with
guys who
are going to play at the same level as a rookie. And he never does it. Last year, we've got a chance to get a game-changing playmaker, and he trades back. I mean, I hope next year it works out. I hope he doesn't make the pick if that's the case. But we can use those. We can use those picks for a good, solid quarterback. But
what's up, Tailgate? Phinstant, let's stick with that, man. Let's talk a little bit about because they did keep Greer, and you made your feelings known on that. And I agree with you. I think they should have let him go, but he's still here. But they go ahead and hire a rookie head coach. My preference was a veteran head coach. Rather Doug Peterson, of course, Harbaugh, but that never came into. But Peterson was the guy I preferred. But so they hired Mike McDaniel. Everybody got on that train. They took him. Now that you've had some time to see how he's done before even coaching a game, everybody seems to thinks he's the savior. What are you thinking of Mike McDaniel and his as the head coach so far?
I like some things. I'm not sure on others, and it's tough to see when you're not there. I do think that we're at a time in the NFL where you need to be that guy who can just be essentially one of the guys, the McVay guys. But where it's different is when you watch McVay on the sidelines, and I'm not saying that McDaniel's not this guy. I don't know. But when you watch him on the sidelines, those players come up, they respect him. He can chew them out. He can say whatever he wants to them, and they get it. They know he knows ball. They know that but he also kind of like commands a presence. And I don't know if McDaniel does or not. I'm not saying he doesn't, but
you didn't see the picture. You didn't see that one picture. You don't think? I love that. I love that. Like commanding, like dude, it's a picture of him in front of the team. Keep going, Vincent.
No doubt.
He commands the presence of everybody looking that direction. Okay.
But it just feels like another Dolphins move, and that's what concerns me. Is he's a guy who's only been an OC for 1 year, and I know I was like out here calling for Joe Brady, but that was a heart pick if I'm being honest. Early in the season last year for the record. But I think he can potentially be. He's from that tree that's got Zach Taylor, McVay, Shanahan, all those guys, but he was also the last one picked, and that's a concern to me too. And it took him that long, even though he was a part of that tree, to become the actual OC in San Francisco. And there's concerns for me, on that part of it. But what I do like is I like the staff he's put together.
Yes.
They're very well connected from that, from that coaching tree. And, if you guys have talked to me, I mean, really all the head coach needs to do is be the CEO. If he can, delegate and make some of these really good coaches that he's brought in, which I think he's done. I think there's a couple questionable ones, but there's always going to be. Again, with the offensive line, I mean, I think he tripled down on that, between OC, offensive line coach coming from Boston College, which, at least he controlled his own room there. I think
Frank Smith also ran offensive line in the NFL. Then
they
kept Lemieux. So I mean, you're right. It really tripled down, and instead of giving up on a coach, they're just going to bring him along and see what he can do. So it's nice to have guys with experience at the college and NFL level, and just kind of like get like different angles and everything.
So I think that's the positive to him is that I've just hated how he's like gone out of his way to say Tua's great, but what are you going to do?
Probably in his contract to do it.
I mean, no self-respecting NFL coach is like, man, that's the guy, right? Just based off of what they've watched on film. But at the same time, what are you going to do? Go to an interview and be like, yeah, that guy sucks. Can't wait to get through this year and get a new guy. I mean, that's not going to happen. So I think he's done the right things. I think he said the right things. I'm just interested for when Tyreek Hill gets 3 targets in a game and we lose to a team that we shouldn't, and what happens? Who's going to respond to him? Going off, losing it on Tua on the sideline potentially, going off on McDaniel. I'm not saying he's that guy all the time or anything, but I'm just waiting.
It's going to come.
But he'll be vocal when
it's definitely trending that way, though. I will say I'm a little worried. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm definitely a little
Didn't they
worried.
say it was Hill's team or something like that? Like they're building around Hill, that to us?
Feels like it.
I can definitely see that.
I'm a little worried, even just how he's been talking about the Chiefs and stuff, and how Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid both came together. We're like, I don't know why he's saying mean shit about us. We like him, so I am definitely my like spidey senses are tingling that there could be some real issues if things go bad and Tyreek Hill's not getting the ball.
I was just comparing the situation.
Antonio Brown?
Yeah, I compared the situation last week on OverTime and today of with Tyreek Hill, because everybody's excited that we took Hill, and who's not, right? Probably the second best wide receiver in the NFL. But this is not the first time the Dolphins have got a star wide receiver for their young quarterback. Mike Wallace for Ryan Tannehill and then Brandon Marshall for Chad Henne, and those guys only lasted 2 seasons. Brandon Marshall wasn't so bad. If you look at his numbers, he actually was pretty decent. So was Mike Wallace in his second year, Brett. We discussed that. So
you're gonna relive that.
They weren't nearly as vocal.
No.
But the writing's kind of on the wall. I'm like
Marshall is more of a leader, almost more mature than Hill is, if you think about it. But
it's
he had his own off the field issues,
but with the talking everything right now, it's true. It's like wait for that 3-catch game when they lose, and Waddle has 8 catches, and he starts going off to the press and yelling at Tua on the sideline, and how's McDaniel could adjust to that or react to that. In Klump, I'm gonna get to you, man, but I'll just say too with the McDaniel hire, how I felt about it, because I said the red flag for me was nobody else was interviewing him. And of course, you get on the hype train, you get excited, you read his story, and it's a feel good story and everything else, and he does have experience and all that. But a part of me, especially, I was just discussing this the other day, was it's kind of like a David Culley hire to me. It seems like that. Let's make him the head coach. Doesn't work out, he falls flat. We let him go. We get the bigger name. Of course, the Texans didn't do that. They got Lovie Smith, and good luck to him. But what do you think? What do you think in Klump of Mike McDaniel so far, even before he coaches a game?
I think the Texans would have signed Josh McCown if it wasn't for Brian Flores suing the Dolphins in NFL. Just throwing that out there. I think that was their big plan, and that didn't work out very well.
That's true.
But I'll say this: I think what Phinstant said is something I've never even thought about yet, and that kind of got me even more worried. Who's going to be the guy? Like being around football and stuff, you need a bad cop, and who's going to be the bad cop? Like if Tua's walking off the field after going 0 for 3, first, second, third down, missing wide open throws, and they come off the sideline, is he just going to be like, good job, buddy, let's get it next time? Or Sean McVay would be like staring him down, like, what are you doing? Like, what kind of, you know what I mean? And I don't know if McDaniel's going to be that guy that's going to be like, I think Bret and Phinstant know this. One thing I really say, I do believe I'm a little more leaning towards difference from Phinstant, where I think Tua does have some tools where if developed right, he could be good. But I think the problem is he has too many people around him that don't tell him he sucks right now. He has too many people around him that are like, it's not your fault, buddy. It's everyone else's fault. And what worries me is right now, this whole offseason, everyone, Tua's so great. Give me a break. Look, you need 2 eyes. My daughter is going to be 7 years old. She's like, this guy stinks. It's not hard to see that the quarterback of the Dolphins is not good right now. So what drives me crazy is they're all sitting here just being his yes men again. He's so good. He's so good. Who's going to be that guy that's finally dude, can you stop stinking? Can you do this better? And I don't know if anyone around there is going to do that. And
because the last guy got fired.
And it's going to end up being who? It's going to end up being Tyreek Hill. And then we're going to have, then all the Tua fans are going to say, it's all Tyreek Hill's fault why Tua is not good, And it's crazy to me because even last year, everyone wants to complain about the offensive coaches. And I was one of them saying that this is terrible. The co-offensive coordinator thing is going to be a disaster. And like always, you don't know what you're talking about. It's going to be so great. They hired all these coaches for Tua. They're forming the offense for Tua. The quarterback coaches for Tua. And now all of a sudden, these coaches stink. It's all their fault. And it's maybe they had an impossible job because the guy that they were hired to work with wasn't good enough. And that's what scares me is I said it, Mike McDaniel, he honestly probably might only get 1 year if they stink because he's been hired, in my opinion, what I said too for Brian Flores. And why I think he should have not been fired is because he was doing the impossible. He was winning games with Tua as his starting quarterback. And in my opinion, that is a disadvantage. When that game starts and Tua is your starting quarterback and you're going against the elites of Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, not to name quarterbacks drafted in the same draft, but it's you're at a disadvantage. It's like starting a boxing match by saying, hey, the first 3 rounds, put your arm behind your back.
That's right, TD. We got Klump on the show here, man.
What's up, TD?
Klump?
TD, I love it.
TD.
TD was here last week.
Yo, TD's got to have me on his. He said, I'm a little too hot right now. He doesn't want everyone coming at him now. Just kidding. But what's crazy to me, dude, I can't get over the fact that I'm so worried that no one is going to be the guy to tell him that he stinks. I'm going back to that. It's there's just too many people saying that he's so good and it's everyone else's fault. And that is just bizarre to me, man. Like, I don't care if you love him or hate him. Again, you're just lying to yourself. Like, he has not been good. They literally ran the RPO offense that I've seen so many people saying like the RPOs suck. Dude, all offseason before last season, that's Tua's bread and butter. They made the offense for him. Get Najee Harris. He's the perfect RPO running back. Do you remember that? Get Najee Harris. He's the perfect RPO running back. He fits perfectly with
I wanted Najee Harris because he was talented, not because of RPO running back.
I hate to be that guy, but you guys remember when I just blew Dolphins Twitter away by telling them that the RPO stinks, and that's all that we do?
I love the RPO.
Got in my mentions and was like,
I love the RPO.
Dude, and it's like it's basically a wildcat. It's a package. It's not a full offense, and people just don't. And then it's like
they ran double the amount of RPOs as Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, you need a run game to get the RPO going. That one always gets me. I hate that one. Oh, with no run game, how do you expect to have the RPO? Like, you really don't understand how RPO works.
Yeah.
Well, when you hand it off against the light box, it'll probably help out. But.
They're like, people are like, why was Tua throwing so much in the RPO offense? It's because the defensive coordinator said, hey, let's play the run because we know this quarterback can't beat us. He's not going to throw the ball on us. So let's stack the box. Let's give run looks every play because this guy can't make one damn read. He can't read one player. He can't do it.
Dude,
and
all
that's why
22.
They did it.
The defense has funneled it in.
I literally went. You can tell so easily when people are like, "Oh, the RPO didn't work because we never ran the ball." It's like, dude, that's a run play when you hand the ball off. An RPO is a read. So Tua literally read the defender who he was reading, and if he came forward, he threw the ball. If he sat back, he handed it off. And teams literally said, "Try to beat us, Tua. Let's see it." And you know what he did?
Your arm.
He threw 1 yard out routes to the flat. They ran RPO flat probably, the most obnoxious amount of times ever in NFL history. Jalen Waddle is a speedster. He's catching 1 yard out routes. This guy had 100-some catches and barely 1,000 yards. If he had a real quarterback, this guy's going for 1,500 yards his rookie season like Jamar Chase.
TD says Klump is a Tua hater. Y'all better beware.
Yeah, I wear it graciously now. I really don't care because I truly don't believe I'm a hater. Like, I want him to succeed. There's nothing in me that wants him to stink.
But when you're being realistic,
because if he stinks, we suffer.
When you're realistic and you're talking facts and you're trying to, when you're realistic, you're a hater. It labels you as a hater. Yeah. And then when you're overzealous, you're a homer, and it's just what it is now. I was trying
on a rant. Sorry.
I was gonna. No, you're good.
Dude,
I was really gonna try to stick. I knew the Tua stuff was gonna be heavy. That's why I was like, let's have this last question on the show about Tua, so we have everything.
Wait, let me add this before you ask the Tua question. I do love Mike McDaniel. I think he is an incredible person. Right. I think everything about him, he's done it the right way. A lot of people don't realize. I see a lot of people always saying I can't wait to have a beer with him and stuff. Mike McDaniel had a drinking problem. He's not drinking beer. He literally got fired from I think it was the Houston Texans. There was the Falcons?
Oh, yeah, the Falcons, I believe.
Falcons, all right, whatever team it was. He got fired for having a drinking problem and stuff. This guy has had adversity in his life. He has pushed to where he has pushed to where he is today. And I love that. I obviously want him to be great. I'll also say, as much as I like Brian Flores, Mike McDaniel's media policy is way better than Brian Flores.
Definitely more fun for media.
Yeah. They definitely lock down practice a little more, which makes me happy because he's trying to lock down the looks. He doesn't want people seeing his scheme and stuff, which is cool for me. But I don't like being labeled a hater. And when I'm not a hater, I take it, like I said, it's funny, it's whatever, but I'm truly not a hater. I just hate that people think he's good and he's just not right now. Could he be? Absolutely. But right now, he's not good. So
I always go back, and I said that to T last week with Miss Fins. They were both on, and I was just it's like the Eddie Murphy comedy back in the day. Raw.
The Nutty Professor?
No.
Nice.
What have you done for me lately? That I forgot if it's delirious or what, but he was like,
"Oh no, it's raw."
Lately? Yeah.
Like, I want half, Eddie.
Yeah. What have you done for me lately? That's what it is. What have you done? You haven't done anything. It's all. The best game to me was the Arizona game. But after that, I don't know what happened. And I watched the Tennessee game live, and it was just depressing as hell.
Sorry, Bobby. We're laughing at you because that's an inside thing. The Arizona, so if you're talking and proving people wrong, I showed Jacksonville and how he missed so many reads and looked bad on these, and they're like, yeah, but the Arizona game.
Oh, really?
Dude, go on there, hit this and this, and they'll go. They'll
But
say,
that's
"Oh,
sad
the
to me,
Arizona
right?
game." Like, yeah, dude, if he did that every week, we'd be like, "Dude, we got
no
a
one would be saying
quarterback."
anything. Exactly.
I've
No,
got
that's
a
what's
great
sad.
meme for you there, Bobby. I'll tell you that.
Okay. But like, okay, so
Get you in on some of these inside jokes.
yeah, I gotta get involved in that.
We do gotta get Bob. We gotta get him in there.
Dude, Bobby's all about it, man. He's
um,
one of us.
man, okay, so I mean, we're gonna get to Tua. It's the last thing, but it's just basically riding on this. But now that the preseason is around the corner, they've made big moves. They got Tyreek. There's your splash. They signed Taron Armstead and Connor Williams. And everybody else in between. How are you truly? And Klump, I'll start with you, and then Phinstant, you can follow up. But how are you feeling about Miami's chances this season, truthfully?
So, there's some people that didn't like my recent column in the last issue of Dolphin Digest, but I said Miami has the team to compete, but do they have the quarterback? And honestly, that's how I feel. I think this season 100% stems – I don't care who they added, exactly what Phinstant said. Adding Tyreek Hill doesn't necessarily make Tua better, in my opinion. They need him without anyone else involved, him himself, to progress. Not progress because of players and he's throwing 5-yard out routes and they're taking to 65 yards. He himself needs to progress into a better quarterback. He himself needs to be the first one at training camp. He himself needs to not get injured. And I snuck into training camp. I love that. But he's really got to he's got to take that step. And I interviewed a Miami Dolphins player. These two guys know this. I've interviewed a starting player on the Miami Dolphins. And, I asked him about Tua. And he was so blatantly honest. You know what he said? I just want him to step into a leadership role. And he was so open and candid. And he's like, not saying he can't, but right now he's not a leader and he needs to be the leader of the team. And I think the Dolphins will only go as far as Tua takes them. And if Tua goes down, I made a joke that Teddy Bridgewater will win more games than Tua next year. Like the season's over. If Tua goes down, the season's over. Like even if they do win, to me, it means nothing because the future of the Dolphins is in shambles again. Like you could be excited if they somehow sneak into the playoffs with Teddy Bridgewater, but what does it really mean for the long run? Like
it doesn't really sound like a hater talking like that.
Me? No, I'm not.
No, that doesn't even sound like a hater. It's like, that's like when Tannehill went down. It's like, oh shit, season's over.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like I hate that whole Brian Flores had a worse record without Tua. Like, you mean an NFL coach didn't do as good when his starting quarterback was hurt? No way. The guy who gets first team reps every day in practice all off season and rep with the team, when he goes down, he loses more games. I mean, there's got to be a statistic on that.
You mean the guy who couldn't beat out Jimmy G for a backup spot in New England?
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
But I do think. Let me finish. Sorry, Vincent. I do think the Dolphins have a really good team. I think this year will at least be one of those years. Hopefully, again, if the quarterback takes a step where they might lose some games, but we're going to look back on it and be like, "Hey, they scored 35 and lost. Like that was a fun ass game." You know what I mean? It's not going to be like they lose by 35 and it's not fun. I'm okay with. There's going to be losses in the NFL. Yeah. I'm okay with the 38-35 last second field goal if we're having fun at least and they're driving the ball down the field and they're competitive. I can't see the non-competitive football like that Titans game, man. Dude. It was all the defense.
I was there live. I was there live. It was my daughter's first game.
I wanted to cry. It was so hard.
I was there. It was cold. There was ice. It was raining ice. And, he rolled out to his left and threw it to Mac Hollins' feet. And I'm looking at my daughter and she's like, "Is it good?" I'm like, "No, this is horrible."
I feel so bad.
It's not horseshoes.
You should get a refund and you should sue the Dolphins for that, for mental, your poor daughter to have to witness that in person. But I have last thing I'll say. And I'm so glad you brought up the Arizona game. I've always wanted to say this, and I never have the platform to do it because no one really brings it up anymore.
Bring it.
I have a date for you. And I want to see if you understand the significance. January 1st, 2012. That is a very special date in NFL history. There was a certain quarterback who, in that game, he went, let me read it to you, 31 for 44. 480 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's his Arizona game. Do you know that quarterback? Matt Flynn. So I don't want to hear about the Arizona game.
Wow.
When
that was that New England game, right? That Monday night game.
It was Green Bay. It was Green Bay.
No, Green Bay versus New England, right?
Green Bay, Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
Matt Flynn had the greatest game ever. And listen, you know how much money that guy made because people were like, "Hey, the Arizona game. Hey, the Matt Flynn Lions game." Like, I get so mad when that gets brought up.
Damn.
I want the body of work. In the body of work.
And the Matt Flynn with Joe Philbin to Miami, like, it was heating up so hardcore too.
Oh yeah, I thought he was coming, dude.
I legit thought he was, and Philbin even.
And guess what? And guess what? If Matt Flynn was the starting quarterback of the Dolphins, you know what we'd be doing on this podcast? We'd be saying, "Hey, you remember that Detroit game, though? He did have a great game that time." And we'd all be like, "Oh, hopefully."
That's right.
Dude, all the other games were so bad, but that
remember that game 10 years ago? If we could just get that out of him.
That kills me. That kills me. Like, that's his ceiling because he did it one time. Like, no.
Yeah.
He needs to consistently do that for it.
That's right there. The keyword is consistency.
Yes,
absolutely.
And it drives me crazy to be called a hater by saying, "Wow, he did it one time." That's nothing to me. I want to see consistent play. He just isn't consistent. He's just
1,000% agree with you.
Yeah, I want to bring up one thing about the Arizona game. I'm sorry for cutting you off there real quick, but just talking about the Arizona game and how great he was in that specific game. He was 20 for 28 for 248 yards. Justin Herbert last year threw for under 248 yards in 5 games.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but he won the same amount of playoff games, so they're just as equal.
But hey, you know what?
I've gotten that before. I've gotten that part before.
But I'm glad you said that. Because when you talk about being competitive in a shootout, when the game was on the line on 4th down, how many times they had like 4 or 5 of them? Justin Herbert came up with a big play, put them in the game. Yeah, they lost. It was a heartbreaking overtime, but oh my God, like he battled. Like it was like you watch that game, you didn't come out of the game like, oh, Justin Herbert's never going to win for us. No, you walk out of the game like, damn, the Chargers still have their quarterback, and holy hell, they just a couple changes in a healthy team. They're going into the playoffs next year. And Miami, you're like, well, is Tua the guy? No, they don't have those questions in Arizona.
Another fun stat. There's been one team that has had a winning record while having a 30th or worse ranked defense. The Chargers last year.
What?
It doesn't matter. Honestly.
So if your defense was ranked 30th or worse, you always have a losing record ever since the Texans came in. So since 2002.
And to your point, Klump, about like it's all about Tua. NFL is lit, who's been commenting. Thank you for your comments.
Absolutely.
Said they could have Devontae Adams and Tyreek, and still depends on QB play, and that is spot on.
100%. 100%.
That 100% agree with that, dude. Like, oh my God.
Because you're trying to win a Super Bowl. You're not trying to just make the playoffs. You're not like, that's the thing. That's the thing here. And you want to have that potential. And if you're the Chargers, the Packers, the Bucks, all these different teams, the Bengals right now as well, like you feel like we've got a shot. We can actually win a Super Bowl. When we say it, it's, met with a smile and like, hey, yeah, man, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But you don't really feel it. You gotta get to that point where you feel like, if this game's out of hand, our quarterback will keep us in it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Titans scored 33 points. That's not a insane amount,
He did.
And how many times were the games close, and all of a sudden, like you get to like the 4th quarter, and the other team starts pulling away? Like almost every Buffalo game too has been in. It's close all the way to the end. They're only like a touchdown, 10 points up, and then next thing you know, it just falls apart.
Well, didn't you see the Jets game last year where the defense gave up that touchdown to tie the game? Oh wait, it was a pick 6, and then he came back and did drive down the field. But like that stuff drives me crazy. He did get the first down against the Patriots after he threw the worst interception I think I've ever seen in my life. Like I hate that. It's like they nitpick things, and it's like just I want the full picture, and the full picture right now is ugly. I mean, I love my daughter to death. But right now, the Tua picture is like her painting. She's not the best yet. There's some room for improvement. I love it. I'm hoping it gets better. But like, let's be real. Like right now, he is not a top professional quarterback. He's just not. And I hate like how is it possible that you could tell someone that they're just a hater by saying he's not like a top 15 quarterback? Like that just to me, I don't know. It's crazy. And like, do I hope he gets there? Of course. I think it's funny too. Before the season started, I wrote an article that said, because I was all hyped, I said Tua could be a top 10 quarterback, but he needed to stay healthy. He needed to be consistent, and he couldn't do it. Like,
I want to address one of these comments over here on the side by that Dolphins realtor, because it's exactly right. Marino's a Hall of Famer, no trophy, is what they said. And it's exactly right. And that's why I'm just livid at the way these last 2 years have gone, because you have to make the team perfect. Aaron Rodgers only has one Super Bowl, and he's a freak quarterback. Mm-hmm. But the entire team has to be perfect. Our defense was built to play with a lead.
Yes.
And they rarely have a lead. So people are like, we got to stop the run. We got to stop the run. You don't have to stop the run when you're up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
And you can blitz the shit out of any offense. When your blitzes were getting home constantly, who cares about stopping a run when you're up 2 touchdowns?
So when you have a chance to go get a franchise-changing quarterback, and it's your time, you tanked, you did everything for it, and you picked the wrong guy, I'm sorry, it's fireable. I could go off on Greer all day, but that's such a good point that Marino was great and never won it all. But that doesn't mean that, Tua stinks and he could be the next, Trent Dilfer. That's not who you go after. Like I said, you want to get those guys who make you feel like I could possibly win it. Buffalo feels great right now, and they still haven't won a Super Bowl. But, and hopefully
they feel good about their chance, though.
Right. Exactly. And then you start focusing on those little positions, and you can go draft Noah Igbenogany at 31, and you're not going to feel like shit, we just lost the world. But
Chiefs drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and to me he's been a bust so far. It hasn't really been worth that pick, but the Chiefs are still good, and the run game is still whatever.
Because of the organization.
Right, because they're a good team and they can shake off those kind of misses. They can afford those.
And they have Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
right, yeah. And Cat for life, thank you for commenting too. Anything less than Super Bowl is a failure, in my opinion. I agree. Every year should be that way. And I 100% agree with this. I'm tired of hearing it's okay. We have enough capital. And for next year, like I agree
tired
with
of that too, but that is what I'm going to say this year. It's okay. We have enough capital for next
right.
year.
And I am tired. I am tired of that. It's basically
that doesn't scare you guys though. Like,
well, there's next year.
I've talked about this with Phinstant, and I know he's a big TBD guy. And I joke and I want AR-15. Oh wait, sorry. Anthony Richardson 15. Scratch that from the record. But I'm just more worried that everyone thinks it's like, oh, you know what? If Tua stinks, the Miami Dolphins are going to draft the right quarterback, and we're all going to be good. And it's like, I don't know, boys. I'm a little worried. Like,
history says otherwise, right?
Who knows what they're going to do? And
I was going to say.
I will say it's funny that everybody compares Tua to Drew Brees, because I could absolutely my comp for TVD is Phillip Rivers. Like, I think if you watch their college tapes right side by side, it's like,
I like that comparison.
It's the exact same thing, and
mainly the mental aspect, really.
Oh yeah, and I mean he's competitive, all that stuff. But it's so funny that if they were to get rid of Tua and he goes to somewhere and becomes Drew Brees, and we've got Phillip Rivers, who is a great quarterback, and I would take that honestly. I've told everybody I'd rather go to the playoffs and lose games like 35-28 than the crap we've watched for the last 27 years. I mean, I threw that stat out there last year, which ESPN just stole. So, I want some credit, but 27 years since we had a top 10 offense. I mean, that's my entire life, basically. I mean, at least I'm old enough to understand things.
Dude, I was 8, which means we still had Marino. Like, what the hell, man?
I don't understand the Drew Brees comp anymore. I tweeted this the other day. Like, Drew Brees is the short quarterback in without a rocket arm. I mean, Tua's massive now this offseason with a rocket arm, so that has to be gone. We can no longer. I mean, Tua's trainer said it himself, not me. I didn't say it. Tua's trainer said that he's tall with a rocket arm now. So I don't like the Drew Brees comp anymore, because let's be real. If anything, I think Justin Herbert's probably the better comp for him just by the off.
I was going to say Mike Vick, but
I said this. Last thing I'll say about that, and I don't like being this mean, but I have to say this. Has anyone ever seen the movie Shallow Hal? With I think it's Jack Black. I have come to believe that Tua's trainer is under a shallow house spell with quarterbacks where he thinks that he's looking at Justin Herbert, but it's actually Tua. And I don't know if this is true or not. I'm doing some more investigation. I have boots on the ground trying to figure it out. But I have a worry that he sees the great quarterbacks as not good because he makes fun of Joe Burrow. He makes fun of Justin Herbert. He says Tua's going to beat their butt and stuff. And
We're
he
going to
just
smack him up real nice.
He talks up to it. So I think that there's something going on where someone put a spell on him where he really does think Tua is Justin Herbert. Because after he said he's tall and has a rocket arm, I'm just it's confusing to me that there has to be something.
So let me ask you guys this. And Phinstant, you could start, and then Klump, you could follow up. So after everything the Dolphins have done, hiring an offensive coach, putting that type of staff together, bringing in Tyreek in a surprise trade, Cedric Wilson, Eazy-E, Taron Armstead, who let's see if he lasts the season, Connor Williams, all that. How confident are you that Tua is going to make the leap this season?
Well, I don't think he's going to, just because I think that he isn't really good intellectually with football. And when I say that, I don't mean that as like he's a dumb human or anything like that, but it's, when you are a quarterback of an NFL team, you have to walk up to the line, command everything, understand what could happen, plan X, Y, and Z as well as plan A. And, to be fair to him, like I said earlier, they were dealing with some young offensive line coaches, young offensive linemen, people. It was pretty discombobulated the last few years. And if he gets a little bit of, structure this year, maybe that'll help him, take the next step. And I think that's possible. I mean, obviously, as much as I hate on college production and Alabama tape and everything, like we talked about before the show, Tim Tebow won a playoff game. Okay. It can absolutely be done with a guy who broke every record in college football. I just think either he needs to step up, and because he needs to step up and just do his job a little bit better and, learn the playbook and do all that fun stuff, or McDaniel needs to take everything off of him. And, if that's the case, and I'm being serious when I say that, as he shouldn't be calling out the pros. He shouldn't be calling out, everything to, like it needs to be coach run or offensive line run or something, because if he can't get it done mentally, they've got to just make it easier on him. And I think that's what the last coaching staff tried to do, and they overdid it. But I think if he does that, you could start to see some progress, and maybe he does become that guy that they drafted. But I don't see that happening just based off of what I've seen the last 2 years. We talk about the offensive line all the time. Well, why did Jacoby Brissett have longer time to throw than Justin Herbert when he was in? And you can say because Herbert gets the ball out faster or whatever. But if he's able to stand back there, why wasn't everybody else? And if Brissett can get that kind of time, why can't Tua?
That was one of my points last year.
What's that?
Yeah,
I said that was one of my points last year.
Yeah,
with the Jacoby Brissett thing.
So, and Joe Burrow was pressured at a higher rate than Tua. So, where are we casting this blame? He never gets to read three. And
yep.
Obviously that's a concern. And that was my concern with him in college. It's my concern, honestly, with everybody from the big schools. I haven't really broken down Trevor Lawrence, but I imagine if you go back and look at that tape, he's probably struggling because it wasn't as easy as it was at Clemson.
Yeah.
It's harder, even if you're one of the greats. Look at Peyton coming out. It's very rare to see these guys from big time schools hop in the league and just dominate like they did in college, because it was so easy for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like playing the game on easy mode, and then you go to a difficult situation, and you're not just gifted, I can throw it out to the flat to Najee Harris, he's going to break 6 tackles, and I'm going to get 50 yards passing on this touchdown. It's a different world, and hopefully that's what we've done. Hopefully he can just toss it out to Tyreek, and we're like, Tua threw for 4,000 yards. Sure, 3,500 of them were after the catch, but I don't see him becoming a great quarterback. Is my point at the end of the day. I would love to be wrong. I really would, but I don't think he's got the drive from what I've seen, and I don't think he's got the just competitiveness that all these other guys have. I mean, they aren't like you and me, the great ones, and that's what I try and tell everybody. They're always like, "What, do you go to work on your days off?" I'm like, well, actually, yes, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, these an NFL quarterback isn't you, man. Like, he doesn't work a 40-hour week.
It's right. Completely different life, completely different job.
And that's the thing. It's only 25 weeks. You get the rest of the year off, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of these weird situations where everybody makes excuses for him, but when you watch him play, you don't see a competitor, man. I mean, that or at least I don't. And that's my biggest problem with him so far.
Gotcha.
Is you can say the physical part, you can say the mental part, you can say all that, but he just doesn't look like he cares. And maybe that was a Brian Flores thing, but that's where I'm at with it.
I mean, he looked like he was handed everything all the way from high school, though. So, I mean, maybe that's why he doesn't care.
There's truth in that, It's tough. And when I'm saying all this, that doesn't make him a bad person. That doesn't mean he's not a hard worker. It just means he's not working hard enough. He's not competitive enough. Tom Brady is a weird dude. Okay, he's a weird dude, but that's who I want as my quarterback. I don't want somebody who is normal. I want somebody who just eats, sleeps, drinks football. And
I say I want an asshole at quarterback. That's what I need, somebody who screams for respect and puts you like Dan Marino. Marino was a prick off the field and on the field. I met him. I'm thankful for Dan Marino. I mean, I remember, I have some stories, but but that's who you want as your quarterback, someone who commands respect. I don't see that into it. That's why I was saying last year, if we were going to look at another quarterback, get me a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or whatever. I don't care about I care what he does on the field and how he prepares for the game. And I don't see that with
Philip Rivers was an asshole, but
Rivers, get me Philip.
He knew exactly where everybody was supposed to be and overcame his limitations. But I digress.
Well, I like how you're setting on my boy.
Klump, what are you thinking, man? Honestly, I mean, everything the Dolphins have done, everybody said you got to put a good roster, talent around him to get the best out of him, which is usually the other way around. You get this good quarterback to bring the best out of the other players. But with Miami, it's different. They got to get all the great players to get the best out of their quarterback. So now that Miami seemingly has done that, how are you feeling about Tua this season? You think he's making that leap?
I'll make it pretty short and sweet here. I think he'll play better. But playing better from what he's played isn't what we're looking for. And that's kind of what Phinstant said. It's like, are we okay with mediocrity or do we want great? Are we okay with, he had 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but we won because the defense had a pick 6 and we had great field position on that sack fumble. And that's why we got a field goal on that drive, not a touchdown. To me, it boils down to what I said earlier. I don't think, and Bret said it too, and I've heard from some people at Alabama that he's been coddled, and I just don't think he has enough people. And everyone's like, "Oh, you don't know his dad. His dad pushes him hard." I'm like, dude, this guy's a grown man living in a mansion, making millions of dollars now. You think his dad telling him that he needs to work harder is going to get on him? And not like, I don't want to hear that. I don't think he has enough people in his inner circle that will tell him he's wrong. He has too many people that are making him think that he's great. Like, even when he made that Twitter trolls comment, everyone's like, ha, Klump, he called you out. It's like, yeah, but did he call me out? Like, what am I wrong right now? Like, I don't think I'm wrong. Like, what did he prove? He threw a touchdown pass in OTAs in shorts and t-shirts with no pads on.
Albert Wilson.
He proved me wrong off of a practice throw. And like Phinstant said, I will gladly be proven wrong. I could care less if people are like, ha, idiot, Tua is amazing. The Dolphins win the Super Bowl. That's great for me. Awesome. For all of us. We'll have so much fun. And I don't think it'll even last long if Tua is great. I think people will accept that, oh, you were wrong, and we'll say we're wrong, and we'll all be like, hell yeah, we got the guy. Like, that's what we want is the guy. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think he's the guy. I don't think he's going to be the guy. And again, it goes back to I just don't think it might not even be a him thing. Like, I know Phinstant said he doesn't have the drive, which I do believe part of it. I mean, showing up to training camp not first. I know I got crushed for that, but like, come on. But like, in all seriousness, like little things like that to me, they just mean something different. And like, I think that stems from all the people around him. I think that stems from the guy he trains with in the offseason who tells him that he's better than Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, and he's this great player. I think that stems from his weird fan base, the Tebow-like mania people who truly believe that this guy is an elite quarterback. Like, I had people telling me last offseason they'd rather have Tua than Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's how crazy it got. I've seen people say they want Tua over Patrick Mahomes. Like, being dead serious. Like,
yeah, that's when I exit the conversations. Like, there's no point in talking to you.
Right, like Tua over Lamar Jackson. Like, it's just ridiculous.
And like where this stuff, where what that happens to me is it's like that stuff. I mean, I know he says he doesn't read social media. That's not true. But that stuff, like, it just makes him not want to be great because people think are telling him he's great. He truly, in my opinion, believes he's pretty damn good right now already. Like, he truly believes, like, there's the comments about Brian Flores. He truly believes that the reason he wasn't elite last year was because of Brian Flores, not because he threw the ball to the left side of the field with no wide receiver near against the Jags for an interception. Like, that was Brian Flores' fault. Like, I just think there's too many. What's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like a spoiled kid who like never can hear the words no, you know, like he needs
Entitled.
someone entitled. Perfect. Like, I always said this, and I know Tua doesn't like me now, and Tua's foundation has me blocked. His trainer hates me. Everyone, whatever. I wish that I could be friends with Tua because I would be the friend that would be like, bro, no, like, you're not that good right now. Like, you could be good. I really do. I said this before. I think he could be good. But that drive to be great isn't there because he thinks he's great already. And everyone in that circle thinks he's great. Everyone is telling him he's great. And that's why I don't think he'll ever be great because he already thinks he is. So what's he striving for?
So more mentally than anything.
I truly believe, I think physical limitations, they're there, obviously. But as we've seen with some quarterbacks in the NFL, yes, it's not like always going to happen. But some quarterbacks have succeeded by having the mentals over the physical ability. Like,
it's true.
Peyton Manning never threw a spiral, but guess what? That guy put the ball on the money every time. He knew where to go with it pre-snap. He knew where the blitzes were coming from.
He knew how to read through 3 reads, 3 levels.
And it's because he prepared every day because he didn't think he was good enough yet. Like, he always says that.
Yeah.
And same with Tom Brady. Tom Brady still works like he's not the best. Are you kidding me? He knows he is. You think Tom Brady enjoys waking up every day? And like, that's probably harder than anything. He's amazing. How do you go to work each day? Because he wants to be better because he thinks, you know what? I didn't win the Super Bowl every year, so I want to keep going back. But that's where I think the disconnect is with Tua is he doesn't care about all that because he truly believes he's great. He does. He thinks he's already the guy in Miami, and it's everyone else's fault. And all these people, they didn't give me enough weapons. They need to do this. They need to do that. And it's always just an excuse and a whine. And it's always, what's the expression? When you point your finger, you have what? 3 pointing back at you because he's pointing back at himself. And he never looks at it that way. He's pointing at everyone else. It's you, but it's actually him. And I hate that. I really, truly hate that. God. And as the quarterback, man, I want to see the leadership where it is you and you need to be better. And yeah, every now and then he says he needs to do things better. But when I heard him after the year, when they asked him if he watched all his throws last year, and he admitted he has not watched all his throws.
I don't know why he did that.
And then corrected it and said, you know what? I did watch some with Mike McDaniel. See, that to me, if you know you stunk last year, how are you not watching every rep? Like, what did I do wrong here? Where did I miss the read? He doesn't care, man, because he didn't think he made those bad plays. Oh, it was the play calling last year. That's why we were so bad. And it drives me crazy. So
why did you call him the nutty professor? They should call him the preacher. He's preaching.
Thank you. And you know, I'm sure somehow this will be cut up. It'll be all over Dolphins Twitter. People will call me names, saying stuff, and I truly don't care.
There'll be a lot of blocking tonight.
I hope.
Bring it up.
Anyone that wants to like bash me for saying that Tua thinks he's the man and he's not, great. I hope you post it, and I hope it somehow gets to him and it gets in his mind that I'm just trying to help him more than anything because I think he can be better than he is, and he's not going to get there if he doesn't think he needs work, and he needs a ton of work.
But I think that's fair. I don't think that's out. And anybody who thinks it's not fair, whether it's Tua or the trainer or whoever, I think they're maybe a little oversensitive. I think that's one of the big spots about Tua right now, because I don't think anything you're saying is unfair or out of bounds. Because you're saying it's you could reach that level. You have the talent to do it. You've shown it, but it's mental. You don't want it. That's the problem. and that's the difference between a Tebow and a Tua. If we're going to talk, Tua, at least Tebow had the mental and to try to improve himself and get better.
Let me add something to that too. And I brought this up privately to some people. Do you know when Tua was at his best? That Elite 11 camp when he had Dilfer riding his ass. Dilfer even says till this day, he coached the hell out of him. You know what? I think Tua could handle that hard coaching if the people around him would just do it. At this point, he's just cruising. Yeah. When he got coached hard, dude, he was so elite at Elite 11. It was insane. He was making every throw. And Trent Dilfer till this day says it was like one of the best performances he's ever seen.
I remember that.
But when he first got there, Trent Dilfer will tell you he stunk. And you know what he did? He rode his ass hard because he needs that hard coaching. And that's why I'm still worried about the Brian Flores firing, because they hired a guy now that's like, oh, man, this quarterback's great. So that's my big concern. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope just somehow, some way, he actually did grow and has a rocket arm and people troll me. I really won't care.
Again,
it'd be so much fun if the Dolphins win. So
if Tua excels and improves this season, makes that leap, we all win, because then the Dolphins are winning. Because I believe the Dolphins, despite everything, is a quarterback away from being a legit playoff contender. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but that's the whole thing. I don't even think they're favored to make the playoffs right now, and that's insane. Could you imagine this roster if it was Mahomes or
I've been saying that. I agree with you.
Like it's insane to me. People act like quarterback doesn't matter. I remember before the draft exactly what everybody was saying and how it was going to be the biggest mistake ever if we took Herbert and this, that, and the other.
Tannehill 2.0 is what I heard.
Right. And shit, I'd love to have Ryan Tannehill.
Damn it, Bobby.
I mean, at least I could know that he was going to work hard and try and get the ball down the field, even if it was going to be ugly sometimes. But good God, it comes down to him. It comes down to the quarterback. And I don't know. Maybe he's learned. Maybe he's listened to Klump all this offseason. He's like, you know what? I am going to go in on Monday.
I'm going to prove him wrong.
Jeremy. It's like,
I hope so. I
hope he lights it up as like, take that, Klump.
Oh, right in the camera.
Klump's like, yeah.
You don't think I'm gonna get it? I already got it from Jalen Phillips on Twitter. I'm sure if Tua blows up, there'll be some players who come at me for sure. And you know what? I will love every moment of it, man. I will full on admit if I'm wrong.
Yeah, but Phillips didn't even seem like he was like sticking up for Tua when he did
that.
He
just
seemed like he was just I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know how many players actually stick up for him.
Let's do this here as we're coming up on the hour and a half mark. And I've heard Phinstant bring up TVD. Yeah, no, 100%. It's been great. I love to have you guys back on because I think this is just entertaining. But brought up TV. So let's say worst case scenario for Tua, he doesn't pan out, and Dolphins are going to make a change next season. Which is kind of looking that way either way. I think this was a rental. And I hope McDaniel proves everybody wrong, but I think my gut feeling says this is a rental year. Let them do this, see what happens. I don't think the Dolphins expected the fans to love McDaniel so early before a game, but he has that type of personality. But let's say it does happen where it doesn't work out and Dolphins are in the market. They have 2 first-round picks. Do they use those 2 first-round picks to trade up and get a quarterback? Or do they go out and get a free agent, somebody like who's not going to resign with the Buccaneers and a Tom Brady or another quarterback? So I'll start with Phinstant and then Klump and then Bret. Phinstant, who would you prefer in Miami to get if worst case scenario Tua doesn't succeed?
So first point that I would make, and I said this today, was I would trade both of our picks right now to the Bears because I think this is the cheapest you'd be able to get it. They think they can survive. Worst case scenario, I can't imagine them picking outside of the top 3. Maybe I'm wrong, and they have a great year, but now you've got a top 3 pick. If Tua works out, awesome. You got a top 3 pick. If he doesn't, now you've kind of got a shot at the number 2, number 3, number 4 quarterback in the draft, and you can get who you want. But I think no matter what, if he doesn't succeed this year, you got to draft a guy. And on top of that, I would go after Brady or somebody else. I personally wouldn't go after a guy like Lamar.
Interesting.
Just because I think that Lamar is one of these guys who, if he gets injured in any way, there goes everything that really makes him special. And I don't know that I'd want to pay a guy like that what he's going to ask to be paid. That's why the Ravens right now are kind of in limbo too. And when a team is unwilling to sign a quarterback, why would we follow up and say, okay, well,
Because we're the Dolphins
with him, so.
I will say they did make him a couple offers.
Yeah.
He did kind
He
of.
also doesn't have an agent, which is worth noting. It makes it very difficult for negotiating.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, but again, I don't know. Somebody who isn't a great thrower of the ball, and was winless against playoff teams last year when he did play, and has only had one playoff win when he had the number 2, number 3, and number 2 defenses his first 3 years. That there's concerns there for me, and maybe he's worth it, but that's not somebody I'd want to go after. I'd want to go after a guy like Brady and then draft somebody, so that way, they can kind of learn from him. I hate when rookie quarterbacks start, even with Herbert that first year. Like, yeah, he had a great year, but it was a dead season for him. I mean, they weren't gonna make the playoffs. They weren't great. He probably took more hits than he should have, and fortunately, he's just a dog. Like, he could have easily been Joe Burrow, who's
got that dog in him.
Yeah, I mean, he could have easily been Joe Burrow and just tore his ACL up and had to come back from that. I hate when rookie quarterbacks start, especially on bad teams. But anyways, for us, I would obviously love to just go get a free agent and draft somebody. And when I say a free agent, I only mean Tom Brady. So
Tom Brady and one of the top quarterbacks, TVD, you brought up earlier from University of Miami.
Yeah, and for the record, it's funny with TVD because Bret has seen how I kind of evaluate quarterbacks the last few years. I think Jeremy's starting to learn what I like. But when I watch them all, the first thing I go and watch is their third downs and just see how they process the field. Because first down, in college football anymore, first down is just basically an extension of the run game. It's just hit your one read. They're going to essentially tell you where to throw it. You've practiced it all week. It's a really, really easy read for you. And then second down, it's going to be similar to first, but third down, that's where you make your money in the NFL. You can't just throw it to that first guy if he's covered, because then that you're not getting the first down. You're off the field. So you actually have to go through it, read everything. And far and away, TVD is the best one that I've seen on that. I'm not a Miami fan, for the record. I'm not a Canes fan. So it's not like I'm out here just pumping my guy. I actually, as a UCF guy, I kind of hate him. It pains me that they have a good player, but I do think he's the best player at reading the field right now. And then he's got the tools to go with it. He would be the one that I want more than anyone, just because I think he's got that NFL skill set. Now, I can't stand the kid from Bama. He's going to be, he's essentially Tua, but like smaller, worse. No. He's got a better arm, but I really don't. I would lose it on this organization. I would go protest at Hard Rock Stadium if they got rid of Tua and then drafted Bryce Young.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I'll ask you this: would you rather trade for Lamar Jackson or draft Bryce Young?
Oh, I'd rather trade for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. No, I knew what you were going to say, but I figured I'd just ask.
No, the Lamar thing, the only reason I'd be concerned about Lamar is just how much you got to pay him, and then we can't really build a team around him with that. Because he's going to get a big contract, and that's what's going to happen with him. And then he's going to get older. He's going to get hurt another time or two. He's not going to be able to run. And then now you've got one of these guys who can't throw for 4,000 yards as your quarterback, and he's not really dynamic, That's my concern with him. Maybe he's healthy for the next 10 years and I look like a jackass, but I wouldn't play that risk. I'm a big risk reward guy, as you guys can tell.
Gotcha.
And then, I really am interested to watch Klump's boy Levis this year, see if he grows a brain.
That's not my boy. That's not my boy.
And
what's up, Evan?
And then I want to see another one that I like is McKee out of Stanford. He actually had a few good throws last year. He could jump up, really high. He's 6'6", 235, I think he is. And he's got a rocket. Him throwing the out is unbelievable. Far hash, 15 yards. I mean, just on a rope. Did I send that to you, Brett?
No, I don't think so.
It was interesting. It was interesting. But he's got a shot, and then of course Stroud. Stroud's going to be a guy who he was really interesting because of how he progressed throughout the year. Because he was awful the first few weeks. But he's a guy, just listening to him and how he's talked about the way that he's grown, and he's been in the office, and they've been saying that as their coaches. And I know coaches are going to hype him up, but you could see it on the field. He was actually starting to go through his stuff, understand the game a lot more, and he's got the best tools of all those guys, I think. So he's probably going to be number one off the board, I would think, and we likely won't have a shot at him. But yeah,
might be
him
better
and,
anyway.
Him and Van Dyke are the guys.
Not Richardson?
Oh, yeah. No, I actually that's the one I forgot. My bad. I actually am interested to see him too. He's in that McKee and Levis area. I want to see him grow a brain.
He's got a rocket arm.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's like the size of Tua, right? With the
Yeah.
He's that Josh Allen style.
He's
a
monster. He's a monster.
He's a tight end playing quarterback. He's insane.
He hurdles people, dude.
Tight end. That's who I wanted last year was Kyle Pitts. Klump. Sorry, he said tight end. I don't know why I had that PTSD thing. What do you
love that too, though.
I love it. That's my PA guy. Pennsylvania football. It's one of the best high school football players I've ever witnessed.
That's what I wanted, because you put him at wide receiver, you put him tight end. I mean, I like Jalen Waddle a lot. He's done well, but Kyle Pitts was my dude.
It goes the good versus great. What Phinstant said. Jalen Waddle's good. Kyle Pitts is great.
What are you thinking, man? What should the Dolphins do if worst case scenario Tua doesn't pan out?
So I'm gonna go a little different here. I don't. The draft scares me. It really does. I think. I think the owner Stephen Ross. I don't think he's gonna want to go through the draft either. So I'm gonna go a little different here. I'm not gonna trade for a quarterback. I'm going to sign free agent Tom Brady. I'm going to trade for a head coach. That's what I'm going to use a first round pick on. I'm going to go get Sean Payton because that's what it'll cost. It'll cost.
That sounds like a prediction. Sounds like a what's that called? Miss Cleo.
It's definitely. I would say there's been some reports about the Dolphins already agreeing to the first round pick for Sean Payton until everything happened. So I think I think that could have if the Dolphins stink and they're bad. McDaniel, in my opinion, I've said it 100 times. I think he's gone. I really do think he's gone.
I think
so.
You're right.
I think if that happens, I don't think Stephen Ross is going to say, hopefully Tyler Van Dyke is as good as Phinstant is saying, because we got to try to win. I think he's going to say, I'm getting old, man. I want to win. So I think he's going to trade that first round pick for Sean Payton. He's going to sign Tom Brady. Ready for this one? He's going to sign Rob Gronkowski, who will come back out of retirement, who lives in Miami. He will take the year off, get healthy again, come back in Miami. And I think they'll use that first round pick to either trade for a player or go best player available, and they'll build up that team. And I think you'll see some free agents. I mean, the Dolphins are in a great cap situation the next 2 years as well, so they can really, really front load and back load contracts if they wanted to. So I just think if it doesn't work out with Tua, that means it didn't work out with McDaniel. And I think they have to go get the elite head coach. I'd rather trade for the head coach and the veteran quarterback. And after Tom Brady's gone, I'd rather win a Super Bowl and then suck for the next 10 years.
I think that's more than likely where it's going if that goes down. And yes, Jerry, Evan wrote there, and that's true too. If it's not Miami, it's Dallas, but don't count Miami out with those 2 first round picks.
Yeah.
Bret, what's your thoughts, brother?
I think we kind of talked on this before, but I've said it's going to be the Tom Brady thing because Jeremy's right. They want to win now. Ross wants to win now. He's tired of not. He had all that set in place. The lawsuit came in from Flores, and everything kind of got put on hold. So, I'm telling you, that was the plan, and this could be a 1 year rental for McDaniel. And if McDaniel blows everybody away, he stays. So I'm going to give it to you this way: if McDaniel just blows everybody away, the Dolphins do what the 49ers did with Jimmy G, or the Rams did with Goff, and they just are a competitive team, a damn well coached team, go deep in the playoffs or win a couple playoff games and are competitive all the way, even in the loss in the playoffs. Then, I see them saying, let's go get Lamar Jackson. Because let's say the run game carried him through all that and the defense carried him until it was just kind of there. Then Lamar Jackson, I think, fits I think they can scheme at least for 4 or 5 years, right? If we're good with Brady for a year, winning the Super Bowl and sucking for 10 years, I think we can be good with Lamar Jackson for 4 or 5 years of being good in this offense. But like, I completely understand the risk that Vincent's talking about. But the other route, if he doesn't do enough, I agree. I think it's going to be Sean Payton and Tom Brady, and that's the route I would go anyway. And I would let Sean Payton kind of run the team, figure out what he wants to do from there.
Yeah. I think that, like I was saying earlier, EVP of football operations and in the general and the head coach, let him hire his own general manager to make his guys, and then they get Tom Brady and they probably draft a quarterback in the second or third round.
I was going to say Sean Payton's going to want to draft the guy though.
Yeah,
and Sean Payton's not afraid. He's a Bill Parcells guy, but he's not afraid to go after somebody. And Payton has worked with Parcells, who Parcells worked with Greer. So I mean, if Greer stays, I'd kind of rather not. I'd rather just Payton just kind of clear house. But I mean, I can see Payton or Sean Payton saying, "I'm going to get a quarterback. If it's the first round pick, I'm taking him the first round pick of a quarterback." I think Tyler Van Dyke is perfect for Sean Payton though. So I would love to see that. And he's got that mentally, just like he gets it. Like when you watch Tyler Van Dyke, he understands. Let me just throw something out here real quick. And this is why he's my favorite quarterback. After the loss to North Carolina, he went off against North Carolina State, who was ranked 20th, 325 yards. Pittsburgh, who was ranked 13th, 426 yards. Georgia Tech, 389. Florida State, 316. Virginia Tech, 357. And then finished up against Duke for 381 yards. He threw in that stretch of games. He threw, like I kind of 7, 10. He threw 20 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, and after losing to North Carolina. And I say North Carolina because he was kind of like average. He was like decent, and then he just snapped. 20 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Like he just it clicked for him. You could see when I watched all of his games. And when you saw the difference in him, and I'm telling you, he would be perfect for Sean Payton.
Well,
he's exactly
the funny thing about that, Brett, I don't know if you paid attention to him. After I watched him, dove in a little bit, and their offensive coordinator said he came in and was just watching tape, asking how he could get better, going over everything with him. He ended up having a weekly meeting with the offensive coordinator that he asked for. All the things that you want a guy in college to have.
All the things we want Tua in the NFL as a professional to have.
Because, the thing is, everybody goes, well, how could a guy who played for Nick Saban feel that way? Guys, in college, they can only demand you to be there 20 hours.
Right.
I mean, that's all that they can do. If there's anything more than that, they get in trouble as coaches. There are rules in college football. So you can play for Nick Saban and not have an NFL mentality and still probably win 56-0 on Saturday.
Yeah, when you're playing Citadel and Henry Ruggs is 75 yards behind the defense.
It's a different world, man.
And when you have 3 guys that run 4.2 speed on one side of the field, all of them empty to one side, and someone's going to be wide.
It was all Tua at Bama. It had nothing to do with the defensive coordinator going, how the heck are we going to defend all these receivers and weapons? They were always just worried about Tua, even though Mac Jones was a better college quarterback.
Oh, man.
I digress.
Well,
he stinks too, Klump.
Hey, guess what? He worked his butt off this offseason. He's getting better. His teammates love him. He's a leader. We will see.
I'm gonna tell you though, watching him week 1, I was actually surprised. He handled things mentally like a veteran better than Tua did. Like he threw the blitz is coming to my left, I'm gonna throw to my left.
Did you see that video I sent?
You talking about Mac?
Mac,
yeah.
Vincent, you saw that video I sent where he broke down the entire defense, name, player.
Oh yeah,
he knew some of the kids' family members. He knew everything.
That's what
I will add this.
That first week, I said, in that game, even though the Dolphins won that first game, I said Mac looked like the veteran quarterback, the 2-year quarterback compared to Tua that week.
Oh yeah,
you're 100% right.
He also did something at Alabama that Tua was never able to do. He started the year and won a national championship.
And he didn't.
Was actually the only starting quarterback that didn't make it to the CFP as a Bama quarterback in 1 year. He's the only quarterback who didn't.
And he didn't fold against Georgia. He didn't fold against Clemson. I'm just saying.
Hey, but he hit that touchdown throw just like the Arizona game. There's always that moment, boys. There's always that moment.
Hey, man, let me just tell you guys, this was all worth it. I was very excited before the show, and I'm very thankful to the closing of the show to have both Klump and Phinstant here talking Dolphins football, and I honestly hope you guys come back. I got to thank you both for coming on, guys. Truthfully.
Seriously, guys, thanks for coming. This was a blast. I was looking forward to this all week.
You bet. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
And of course, everybody who's tuned in, NFL's lit. Evan coming back. I know Evan is having a field day. California, Ralph, everyone. Steve, I want to mention everybody, but thank you for tuning in, obviously. And again, if you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at the Fins Talk Network, and look out for finstalknetwork.com. We are working on that. I'm excited about that. We're working on some new shows. Of course, you got Fins Talk today on Saturday with me and Hank. You got Fins Talk Overtime with me and Bret and company. And then, of course, if you love the Miami Heat, tune into the Goon Squad. I've seen Klump pop in there once or twice. I
love trolling Juan.
You can't have him beat.
Juan is he's so passionate, dude. He goes off, But no, man, and of course, we got probably some new programs, so new shows coming up. Talking to Evan, probably about a positive Dolphins fan, Dolphin show, since everybody's so negative with overtime. He wants to do one, so we're talking about that, and then possibly having some college football talk on here as well. So I'm excited about all of that and upcoming stuff that we got going on. So again, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. And we will see you next week. Fins up.
Can I say one thing before you end it?
Yeah, go for it, brother.
Hey, direct anyone that's mad or wants to hate tweet, make sure you all tweet at Fins Talk Network for any anger and any hate.
Yes, dude, I'm all about it. Bring it.
Thank you guys for having us on. I love it. I appreciate you guys. This was fun.
That was a blast, man.
Thanks,
Fins
guys.
up, everybody.